Hey everybody, it's Wintgat here. Welcome back to the channel. So, I just did my first race, and to be honest, I thought I had it covered. I thought I knew what I was getting into and that I am fully prepared. I wasn't.
A marshal came running to try and stop me from going out on track. To something happening mid-race that caused me to not be able to stop the bike. And finally, one controversial moment that left me fuming after the race.
It seemed like everything was going down this one day. And as it turned out, I was not as prepared as I thought I was. And this race gave me one hell of a reality check.
So if you watch the first video, you'll know this has been a lifelong dream for me. And for the last 4 years, I've been coming to the track trying to get myself ready for that very first race.
And as you guys already know, I've been super close to getting into that first race already.
But then everything fell apart.
However, this time it didn't, and I got to race. There was just one problem. I wasn't exactly arriving here in the form of my life.
I had just bought a new bike, and what that means is that I spent all my money buying a new bike, having none of it left to practice for the race. So I was a little bit rusty, 16 seconds off the pace that I usually run.
So of course, what that meant is I wasn't coming to the race expecting to win, but I was trying to be competitive. Since this was my first race, I didn't know what to expect from the day. I thought we'll get there, do a couple of practice sessions, do qualifying, then get into the race and race number 2. However, I got hot dropped into an episode of Dexter and they gave me a little
surprise, motherfucker.
I had to jump straight into qualifying, no practice. So the first session of the day was qualifying and we only had 10 minutes to do so. So I reckoned I could go out, get some heat in the tires, do maybe 1 or 2 laps to build the confidence, and then put in a banger right at the end.
So I went out of the pit box all confident and my first mistake of the day showed up before I even hit the track. So just here on the pit exit as I pulled over to the side to do a practice start with the help of my dad, I didn't know at the time, but a marshal actually came sprinting to stop me from going out on track. So certainly you're wondering, what did I do wrong? Well, turns out when I left the pit box, I never fastened my helmet strap. And I did not know this until I went out on track until this exact moment when I could feel the strap hitting my neck.
And I realized, oh shit, my helmet was loose. But there was no time to worry about those kind of things. I had to push on. And knowing qualifying was only 10 minutes, coming in, doing another out lap, and then doing a flying lap was cutting it way too closely.
So then, with my helmet only loosely sitting on my head and the strap hitting me in the neck anytime I would open the throttle, I decided, screw it, I'm going to send it.
So surprisingly, with a loose helmet and the very first lap of qualifying, I only went and did a personal best with this machine. There was a surprise waiting for me, and this can only be explained by jumping on board to see how that lap ended.
Listen to that engine scream. Wow. Jeez, it's one of the fast boys. You shall not pass. Oh shit, braked way too late. Stop. Woo! Actually made the corner. I should brake the next lap as well. Okay, and let's flick the bike into the left and flick the bike into the right and squeeze the gas. Come on. I need more power. Where is the power? And over the line. Personal best. Hell yeah. Who's the man? Who's the man? That's a top 3. Guaranteed. P22. What?
So yeah, I wasn't starting exactly where I planned to start. However, considering that I've been struggling for confidence on the bike, the lap was actually pretty satisfactory.
2 hours later, the moment finally arrived. I was on a race grid. I got an amazing start at the first race, getting a perfect launch and capitalizing on the confusion of one of the leaders that had stalled on the grid and causing everyone to jump out of the way to try and avoid him. Thus, I gained a few positions right away and I was feeling good.
But this is where my inexperience showed.
I was going at it so hard at the start of the race and didn't think that I'd have to last throughout the whole race, that by lap 4 my body was done. It was around this time where I started experiencing some bad arm pump, which meant that my throttle hand, my front brake hand, didn't want to open and close normally. Going into the corners, I couldn't get on the brakes, I couldn't squeeze the brakes. And coming out of the corner, I had zero fine control over the throttle. I can only move it in big choppy movements. And then, within the span of one lap, I lost all the positions I gained at the start. I tried my best to keep up with the back ahead, but it was to no avail, and I could only shift my goals from trying to finish in a competitive position to finishing the race. By the time that I crossed the finish line, my hand had gone completely numb, and after the race I couldn't even get my gloves off. This was a very embarrassing moment. I finished last by a mile.
After the first race, I had about 2 hours to recover for the next one, and me and my family tried everything to get a bit of life back into this arm. The little bugger did not want to work with, and I was forced to change my strategy for the second race. Instead of trying to do it all on lap 1, I decided to manage my energy throughout the entire race and see if I could bag a result that way.
The race got off to a flying start, where I got left behind a little bit. I managed to get my foot stuck beneath my foot peg, and I couldn't shift the bike into second gear coming off the line. However, this time, I had people around me to fight. So by the start of lap 2, I was in P5 in my class, and I was desperately trying to fend off the 2 guys behind me was trying to take it away. We all fought incredibly hard for that position, taking it away from each other multiple times, and I tried my very best to keep them behind. Eventually, one of the 2 got past me, but I was determined to keep the other one behind.
Now, wouldn't it be great if I told you that we went back and forth like this until the end of the race, and I took the checkered flag in front of this guy? But that's way too easy. You see, like a true Ferrari F1 fan, I went and did a little mid-race fuck-up only 2 laps from the end.
As I was approaching a corner, I noticed something. I was being waved a blue flag. Ugh.
So, for those of you who do not know what a blue flag means, it means the leader has caught up to you and you are obliged to get out of the way.
So like the rule-abiding little sweetheart that I am, I moved out of the way to let the leader through. Wait a minute. That's not the leader, that's the guy I was fighting for position! And on top of that, I still had to wait for the leader to come through. I fought this guy the entire race and I just let him pass. And now it was up to me to try and get that position back, and with only about 1.5 laps left, that was an impossible task.
But then something happened.
You see, just as I made the biggest rookie mistake of my racing career up to this point, someone crashed their bike in one of the fast corners on the track, which meant the race got red flagged. That means the race gets rolled back to the last completed lap, which meant I was still in front of this other guy. And since the leader had been on the last lap, the race would not be restarted, meaning the race finished in the order of the previous lap. I got my position back. Thank you. By the way, if you are the guy that crashed, I am so sorry for celebrating your crash.
So yeah, just like that, my first race weekend came to an end, and honestly, it did not go as I expected. It turns out I'm way slower than I thought. I need to work on my physical fitness. I need to learn to trust the bike and rebuild my confidence. And on top of all of that, I need to learn to check behind me before I let the bloody guy pass. Despite being super slow, despite being dead last in the first race, and despite being quite a bit embarrassed about being last, my first race weekend was pretty awesome. Something changed forever forward. For the first time ever, I wasn't going around a track hoping to one day become a motorcycle racer. For the first time, officially, I am a motorcycle racer. I really think you should click on this video over here, and I will go and get myself a cup of coffee and a change of clothes and see you over on that side. Ciao!